This is Career Composer. I'm Erin, and I'm helping you, professionals under 30, navigate your careers with a music-themed twist. I'm giving you the job search and career advice you need to get that job, but we'll also talk about music, how to balance our personal and professional lives, and figure out what we're meant to do. Ready? Let's go. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Career Composer. My name is Erin Ahart, and I am a full-time career coach at a top university here in Washington, D.C. I feel like I say this every single episode. I am so excited to record this, but I'm excited to record this episode today for a different reason. Career comparisons, navigating a quarter-life crisis, or maybe navigating yet another quarter-life crisis. This topic, it really comes from the heart. It can get a little emotional because our 20s are so hard. And I'm not just coming to you with career advice from a career coach's perspective today. I am recording this episode as someone who's also in my 20s. I'm 25, and I'm going through all of the same things that you are probably dealing with right now. I just had my own quarter life crisis about a month ago, and I probably have one every 3 months, just to be completely honest. So we'll talk about that today too. I've actually recorded my notes for this episode about 4 different times. My process for writing my notes and getting my thoughts together for these episodes is what I'll do is on a long car ride or when I'm getting ready for bed, I would just record a new voice memo whenever inspiration comes to me. And I'll record all of my thoughts, and then I'll take the transcripts from my voice memo app, and then I'll sit down at my laptop and kind of compile all of my thoughts together. But I've recorded 4 different voice memos for this episode because things keep coming up, and at the same time, nothing has felt right. Everyone experiences career comparisons and going through a quarter life crisis in a slightly different way. We're all going through different situations, and you'll probably experience multiple quarter life crises all on different levels. So sometimes it feels really existential and we're questioning everything, or other times we're just comparing ourselves to our friends, even when we're actually content. And then we're kind of thinking like, oh, should I be reflecting on my life and where I'm at? So today, we're just going to chat, since I know I won't get to everything, but I do have some points that consistently keep coming up around this topic that I definitely will get to. We will definitely talk about career comparisons. We'll talk about navigating a quarter life crisis or multiple quarter life crises. And we'll also talk about some things that you might not expect to hear from a career coach: confidence and mindset. We'll talk about money, about relationships, and just some other things that I think people don't really associate with career comparisons, and they're all important. They're all connected as we're all trying to figure out what the heck we're doing with our lives in our 20s. So without further ado, let's get into it. What inspired this episode is I recently had a moment when I was on my family vacation in Ocean City, Maryland. That is our place that we go every single year. I'm originally from Pennsylvania, but now that I live in DC, I've met so many more people who that's also their summer vacation spot. We just love going with my family. And one thing that we recently started as a tradition is every year from here on out, on our first night at the beach, as a family, we all go to a place called Secrets. If you don't know what Secrets is, it is probably one of the best beach bars on the East Coast. There's multiple stages with live music, so many different bars. You can even drink your little drink while you're sitting on a floating table in the ocean. We all love this place, Secrets. And this year, I don't know why, but I just wasn't having a good time. I mean, I enjoyed myself. It was fun starting off the week right, like we usually do. But there was just something off, and I was kind of like, why am I not having as much fun anymore? So I woke up the next morning and I started spiraling. I was like, I'm on vacation. Why can't I shut my brain off? Why can't I stop thinking about work and all the things that are wrong when I should just be so grateful and thankful that I'm here? This is amazing. We're at Ocean City again. I knew I just needed to take some time to clear my head and go off on my own. So I went for a walk on the beach in the rain by myself, listening to Lana Del Rey. If anything sets the stage or paints the picture for this episode, Summertime Sadness, it is the imagery of me, Erin, in my feels, walking on the beach in the rain, listening to Lana Del Rey. I know I might sound crazy for saying that, but you guys can't hide. I know we have all had moments where we are just crashing out, and you can
vividly remember them. Like, you know exactly what I mean. As I'm walking on the beach, I start having all these questions. Like, am I where I thought I would be at 25? How am I ever gonna buy a house? Like, my friends who are having European summer, who are buying engagement rings and new cars and getting ready to get married and pay for a wedding, of course I'm so happy for them, but there is an element of like, how am I ever going to get there? Like, that can't be normal, right? Like, how are people doing it? I just can't wrap my mind around it sometimes, you know? And then another question, should I stay in DC? This wasn't my original plan. So is this the right plan? Should I ever have moved? Even though I'm super content with my life, I started having all of these questions. And I think that's an important point, is that when you start comparing yourself to other people, or you start having this quarter life crisis just moment when you're feeling down, it is so easy to truly question everything and really get into a spiral. So as I'm having this quarter life crisis, I realize I'm not just comparing myself to my friends or people I don't know on social media. I'm comparing myself to who I thought I would be at 25, and I am just not that person. I'm just different, not in a good or bad way. I'm just totally different and in a totally different place than what I expected when I was 18, planning my entire future. And one thing I've really been learning lately is whenever I find myself comparing myself to someone else, or if I get the vibe that someone else has certain opinions about me or the choices I've made that have led me to where I am today, this is my life. And you listening, whoever you are, this is your life. At face value, this can sound so liberating and exciting and beautiful. Everyone is on their own path, and you get to choose how you spend your time and live your life. And while that sounds great, it's actually terrifying. It is so scary, because then you start to think, I'm in charge of my own life. I make my own choices. What if I make the wrong choices? What if I've already made the wrong choices? That's where I typically get in my spiral so quick, is what if I already made the wrong choices? It can be really hard to bring myself back to being content when I have these spirals and start thinking about these choices that we make. But something else that also really inspired this episode is something that one of my best friends, Anthony, said to me on his 25th birthday. My friend Anthony said, I wish I could live the years from 25 to 30 5 different ways. And then at the end, I could look back over each option and pick my favorite one, and then move on with my life. I think that sums up every intrusive thought I've ever had about career comparisons and navigating a quarter life crisis. That's the episode. That's it. We can stop there. These years, especially the years from 25 to 30, when you really start to feel like you have the wisdom and the ability to make your own choices and really push your life in the direction you want to go. These years feel so important, and there's so much pressure to do them right, especially when someone else around you seems like they have everything all figured out. But then I think about my friend Anthony, and I look back at his 25th birthday party, and someone else asked him, as we were reflecting on life, what are 5 words that you would use to describe 25 years that you've had on this earth? And Anthony said, I only need 4. I am incredibly blessed. When I think about Anthony, no matter what choices he makes from 25 to when he's 30, I know that he's still going to end up with the love of his life, Megan. He's still going to learn more about what he wants out of his career, which is all we can really ask, is to continually be collecting more information about ourselves that help us make better choices for the future. And I also know that he is always going to have his amazing family and friend group. What more could you ask, honestly? And I realized I don't really think that you can make the wrong choices. The path that's for you, the journey that's for you, the career success, the relationships that are meant for you, what's meant for you will always be there. It'll always happen. It just might not happen in the way that you want. And it most definitely will not happen on the timeline that you think it will, but it will happen. You just have to make the best choices for you with the information you have at the time. And that's the best that all of us can do. And one more thing before I move on to the actual content of this episode. I used to be really into songwriting, and I remember I was going through a really tough time in 2022. I wrote this song called Decisions, Decisions. One of the lyrics was, I feel myself changing. I'm a new person every day. I'm only making choices for a stranger far away. Again, that's all you can do. If you're in a different place than you thought you would be in right now, your choices and circumstances led you here because you did your best with the information you had at the time, thinking about what you might want, what the stranger far away in the future might want. That's it. This stranger far away could want completely different things and look back on the person who set them up this way and think, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? But you're changing all the time. You're a different person all the time. And if you're in a different place now than you thought you would be, your choices and your circumstances did lead you here. That's a fact. But you always have the power to change direction. You always have the power to make choices to get out of your current situation and change it for the better. And you are in charge of your own actions. So once you decide what you want, you always have the power to take action and take the next step towards getting to where you want to be. Yeah, let's move on to the next part of this episode. On the topic of my friend Anthony and friendship, let's talk about friends. Our friends reflect back to us where we are in our lives, where we are, where we want to be, what we do and what we do not have. We know them better than anyone else, and they know us better than they know anybody else. And that can create some serious tension. When our friends are in different places, it's going to make us feel some type of way. You can feel like, up until this point, we've done all the same things. We've all been on the same path. And then they get that big promotion or they get to go on that fancy trip to Europe. And you're thinking, how come they get to do that? And I don't. It is so hard to be happy for someone and be a good friend sometimes when you're seeing all of their dreams and all of their goals come to fruition right in front of you. And maybe they have something that you so desperately want. Fill in the blank, whatever it is that they have that you don't right now. And I think that's really where comparisons come from. You look at someone and you say, they have this and I don't have this. And then the mental spiral, the questions start to happen. No matter what they have that you don't have, remember that friendship is a gift. It is a gift to be surrounded by people who challenge you, who show you things that you want for yourself, because that says something amazing about you. That you choose to be around people who set the bar high, who motivate you to achieve your goals, and they put this picture in front of you of something that you want. And it's also proof that it can happen. It can happen for you. And those people are also there to help you achieve your goals. You can be curious and ask them, hey, I admire you so much for this. Like, how did you do that? Because I think I really want that for myself too. And first of all, if they're a good friend, they're going to be happy to help you achieve your goals. They're going to be happy to cheer you on and say, hey, let's sit down for coffee and talk about this, because if you're excited about this, I would love to help. I bet you that they will also turn it around and say, it's funny you say that you admire that about me, because I was actually thinking I really admire this about you. And I was going to ask you about this too. I heard another quote from someone recently who said, you can have everything you want, just not all at the same time. And when I heard that, I was like, whoa, this is crazy, because you will get the career success that you want. You will find the relationship that you want, the house you want, whatever it is you want, you will have it one day. But also remember, you have so many things right now in your life as you are listening to this episode in this exact moment that you should be so thankful for. If you're in your 20s, you likely have so much freedom that you won't have later in life if you want a family, if you want to buy a house, if you want to pursue a career that ties you to one specific geographic location. My dad always told us growing up too, there will always be someone who has more than you, and there will always be someone who has less than you. So take a second when you feel yourself really deep in these comparisons of these things that you don't have. And remember, there is someone out there who wants exactly what you have right now. So to wrap up friendship comparisons, how amazing is it that you get to celebrate someone at such a happy time in their life when their goals are coming to fruition right in front of you? You get to be there for them in the way that you would want a friend to celebrate you and your accomplishments and your happiness when you finally get what you want. You get to show them how happy you are and how proud of them you are, and use their success as proof that you will get there someday too. So speaking of, how the heck are people in their 20s buying houses right now? Paying for a wedding, having hot girl European summer? I'm trying to wrap my head around it too, guys. I really don't know, especially living in DC, which is one of the most expensive cities in the country. I made the conscious choice to move here because I love being in a city and never having FOMO and always just knowing that there's something at my fingertips that I can go explore, try something new, meet new people, make new friends. I love being in a city at this point right now in my life. But I still wonder, like, how are my friends doing all of these other extravagant things that maybe are normal? I don't think they are. But yeah, I'm trying to figure it out too. As a career coach, it's really kind of wild because I work with master's and PhD students, and I have helped them negotiate salaries that are 2 to 3 times as much as what I make. And it's weird. And I have to check myself and really remind myself that I chose this career. I chose this career knowing the salary, knowing the earning potential, but also knowing the impact that I'm making in other people's lives, which is not something that everyone gets to say that they do, is have a tangible, visible, obvious impact in the future of someone's life. I also know my value, and I'm still allowed to want more for myself too. And I'm still allowed to feel a little uncomfortable with this comparison right in front of me. And look, I also chose to work in education while living in one of the most expensive cities in the US. That was a choice too. But it is hard thinking about the people who work over the Key Bridge in Arlington, at Nestle, Capital One, Deloitte, all those giant companies making twice as much as I do. But whether you like it or not, those people who are making oodles more than you do, that doesn't make them less deserving of the lifestyle that they get to live. And again, we know what people in certain roles make, and we get to choose our careers knowing the earning potential. That is a choice that we get to make. I also do have to constantly remind myself that where I live in DC, the money that people have around here in the DMV in general is not normal. Like, I am walking distance away from Aritzia, and that doesn't mean I should shop there. I go back to my hometown and people shop at TJ Maxx and thrift stores, and that is normal. And the truth is, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Someone might be getting help from their parents to pay their rent. They might have credit card debt and student loans. They might be skipping loan payments. You just don't know their situation. And someone might be able to afford things that you can't because their company offers better benefits. That's also something that we just do not talk about enough. Someone's company might offer better health insurance and retirement benefits. I have friends who their company pays for their $200 a month gym membership, which, by the way, a $200 a month gym membership is also not normal, but their company pays for it, or their company pays for all of their public transportation to get around the city. There are so many things that we don't even think about that factor into the way other people live. Before social media, people were way more content with what they had. I just think back to my parents and my grandparents' stories. Growing up, I would also watch movies and TV shows showing all of this extravagance, and there was a certain sense of, well, that's not real. That's not normal. Normal people don't have that. Like, that's fake. Like, that's a movie. It's not real. But now I really feel like with the rise and popularity of reality TV, the fact that you legitimately can blow up overnight on TikTok and just become an influencer as your full-time job and have all of this influence over millions of people. Now, I do think that people today think that's real too. Now there's a sense of this is real, because technically anyone can become rich and famous, and you see normal people being influencers now in front of you instead of these big name celebrities or movie stars, people in TV shows. Anyone can become rich and famous on TikTok, so why can't I? Why can't I have those luxuries? I also recognize that I'm sitting here in front of you as a person who is trying to grow my podcast, but I'm telling you, still, don't fall for it. This is the most honest podcast episode I have recorded, and on social media, you will still see very polished videos of me because my angle is career advice. A lot of this I am posting on LinkedIn, so I want to come across as professional to my colleagues and future connections, maybe future bosses and coworkers. You guys did not see when I cried myself to sleep at night when I lived in Salem after college because of how lonely I was and how hard it was to make friends there. That's why I recorded an entire episode about how to make friends in a new city. Don't be fooled. It is not all perfect. You will never achieve a version of yourself that mimics someone you see online because you only see the perfect curated version of them. You could never be that. So don't try. Let's talk about careers a little bit more. First of all, for all my high achievers out there, listen very closely. Your career does not equal your worth. Your job does not define you. You are not your job title, you are not your salary, and you are definitely not your company. And I know you might be thinking, how is a career coach telling me that my career doesn't matter? And that's not what I'm saying. Your career definitely matters, but it only matters to me if you are, one, passionate about what you do, or two, if your career helps you live the kind of life that you want to live. That's all that matters. In the intro to this podcast, I say my goal is to help you get that job and figure out what you're meant to do. If you're comparing yourself to someone else because they're making more money than you do, because they have a higher title, because they work for a more well-known company, because they supervise people on their team already, listen, I've been there, and I just want to give you a hug if we were in person and take a weight off your shoulders, honestly, because I promise you, once you have all of those achievements, it will not make you feel more whole. Unless, like I said, you are so passionate about your job, it fills you up, you're excited to roll out of bed every morning and start your day and go to work, great. Or if that title or that salary let you live the lifestyle that you want to live. Because you don't have to be passionate about your job, but your job should help you achieve whatever other goals you have. Even then, your career still does not equal your worth, guys. I think this is really hard for high achievers out there. I am one of them. I totally understand. But your friend becoming VP of sales for a company by 30, one, is not normal, but it also doesn't make them better than you. And you're not better than anybody else. So when you're comparing your career to someone else's, it should be because you love how driven and how passionate they are about the work they do. And you just want to find something that inspires you as much as their job inspires them. Or you can compare yourself to someone else because you love how their job lets them live the kind of life that they want to live. But remember, that's the kind of life that they want to live. Just because they get to travel all the time and go out to dinner whenever they want doesn't mean that that's the kind of life that you want to live or the kind of life that you should be living. Maybe the kind of life you want to live is traveling across the country and getting to go experience new things and be a digital nomad. Maybe the kind of life you want to live is you want to have flexibility in your day so you can go to the gym and run errands whenever you want and take your kids to school if you want kids. Maybe you want to work for a company that has amazing retirement benefits so you can retire early. Remember, this is your life, not your friend's life. And just because they have something that you don't doesn't mean that you should want that thing too. This all goes back to knowing yourself and thinking about the life that you want without other people's careers and lives make you think that you should want a certain thing. Your career is not the only thing that matters. And even today, I met with an incoming student on Zoom who came to me so stressed out about finding an internship once she got to campus. And then I later learned that she didn't even have a place to live yet and was stressing out about internships. And yes, I'm a career coach, but I looked at her and said, girl, you don't have to be stressed out right now. Give yourself 2 weeks because you said you're moving here in 2 weeks, right? She goes, yes. You're a new master's student. You're going to be just starting to take classes. You need to figure out where you need to live first, and then we can talk about getting an internship. Your career is not the only thing that matters. Like, let's get our priorities straight. And for my high achievers out there, you might be thinking, well, if you're saying that my career doesn't define my worth, then what does make me worthy? It's so weird to have your identity just crushed like that. I know, because I've been there. The way you show up for others, being a good friend, being a good family member, working hard, doing what's right, following your heart, your dreams, and your passions. That's what matters. And please do not lose sight of that. To close us out, it is so totally okay to be confused, to be sad, to mourn what you thought you were going to have in your 20s that is just not happening for you yet. That is totally normal. Go for a walk on the beach in the rain listening to Lana Del Rey. Put on a playlist that gets you all in your feels. I don't care. Sometimes you just need to have a crash out once every 3 months, like I sometimes do. You do that. Life is not a race. If it is, you are on your own racetrack and no one else is on it with you. Other people have their own journey. Some people get a head start on that journey. Some had to trudge through mud just to even get to the starting line of their own race. You can't compare yourself or your path to literally anyone else's. And the finish line in this theoretical fictional race, your finish line can also change. Just because you wanted something for yourself and just because your friends have something doesn't mean that that needs to be what you choose or you pursue for your future. You can take breaks. You can sprint all the way there. You can stop and walk on this little journey of yours. You get to decide what you do with your life, not anybody else. So forget comparisons. Forget anyone else's opinion of you. You can't make the wrong choice when you are making the right choice for you. And I promise you are exactly where you need to be at this point in your life right now as you sit here listening to this podcast. So I believe in you guys. Go get them. Stop comparing yourself to others and have a great day. Bye.
I hope you found today's episode helpful. Career Composer will be back with a new episode every other Monday. And if today's topic really resonated with you, I hope you'll consider leaving a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. Reviews will really help this podcast grow so I can keep bringing you the career content that you want. You can also email me at careercomposerpodcast@gmail.com with feedback or questions because I want to give you the career advice that you actually want to hear. That's all for now. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you next time and have a great day.